Let's talk about consequences for a moment, because I think if you understand consequences, you'll know how to use them more effectively. I find that, first of all, I got to say, parents overuse consequences. They rely on consequences too much in order to bring change in children, where the best way to bring about change isn't consequences, it's practicing doing the right thing. We're going to practice being respectful. We're going to practice being kind. We're going to practice being cooperative, and so on. So it's the practice that's going to bring the most amount of change. But let's talk about consequences, because sometimes we need them. In a heart-based approach, we do use consequences, but the best consequences are the ones that motivate children into our program, or our principles, or living the way we live in our family. Let me give you an example. Let's say that a child is being disrespectful, and dad says, look, because you're being disrespectful to your mom, I'm going to take away your iPad for a week. Now, that's a behavior modification strategy that says, I'm taking away your iPad for a week because you've done the wrong thing. It's like justice. You did this, you get that. We would rather use consequences to motivate our children toward a goal or in the right direction. I would suggest we change that up and we say something like this. Dad comes in and says, hey, look, because you're being disrespectful to your mom, I'm taking away your iPad, but I want to give it back to you, and I'm not setting a time to take it away. In fact, what I'm going to do is require you to demonstrate that you're contributing around the house here, or being respectful. And when you are, then I would like to give you your iPad back. This positions the parent in a much more healthy way, because now the parent isn't the one holding the iPad as their responsibility to give it back to the child. Now it's the child's responsibility to get the iPad back. So in this way, we're helping our children practice doing the right thing. And you might say, well, he's just doing it to get his iPad back. And maybe that's true. But as he does, he's learning this new pattern of responding, and he's gaining some greater ability to be more respectful or kind. We're finding those resources within him to do that. And as he does, then we're hoping that he's going to be able to use that more effectively. Now, when you do this, you will take away the iPad or give it back more often, because you're having the child earn it. So you might say, look, I'm taking the iPad away for the rest of the day, and longer if we need to, but show me today that you're responding well. And if you are, then I'll give you the iPad back. In that way, what we're doing is we're using the iPad as a motivation to do the right thing, and that becomes strategic. This idea really comes from the Bible in Matthew chapter 25, where it says there, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. So you get more privileges if you're responsible. And to the other steward, he says, because you've not been faithful, even the little bit you have will be taken away. So there's this idea here that privilege and responsibility go together. You don't live by the principles that make this family work. You can't expect to have the benefits that come from this family. So we're teaching children that privilege and responsibility go together. And yes, we may take away a privilege from a child. And when we do that, it is a consequence. But the whole motivation and the whole purpose of that consequence is to motivate the child to get back on track. When a child's doing the wrong thing, they're off track. And in order to get back on track and have the privileges that they want, they need to also be responsible. So we're going to pave the way for them. We're going to say, this is what you need to do. Show me that you're doing the right thing, and then we'll talk about getting your iPad back. In this way, we're helping children move in the direction. We always have this goal out there that we want our children to move toward. So we're not using a justice mentality that says you did this so you get that. We're using a discipline mentality which says I'm teaching you, I'm directing you, I'm training you toward a goal that's going to help you for the rest of your life.